Check out Paddy Power's new and exclusive Cash Card Plus, available to use online, at ATMs or even down the local. Paddy Power, you beauty.
Hi and welcome to this Racing Post podcast special. We're going to be looking at Friday's Investec Oaks card. I'm joined here in the Racing Post studio by Nick Watts wearing a Jazzy shirt and Stuart Riley not wearing a Jazzy shirt. And we've got on the line as well Frank Hickey from Paddy Power. How are you doing, Frank?
I'm very well, thanks.
Top man, top man. Right, well, we'll waste no time here. We're really super busy day at Racing Post Towers where we've got stories breaking left, right and centre. But I'm sure we can take a bit of time out to tip a few winners. We'll start with the Oaks, of course. Frank, do you want to give us the latest prices from Paddy Power, please?
Yeah, I will indeed. Rhododendrons are a 10 to 11 favourite. Enable is 6 to 1. So Betsu is 8 to 1. Coronet 9 to 1. Natavia 10 to 1. Horseplay 12 to 1. Alluring is 20 to 1. And we're 25 to 1 bar.
Excellent. Okay, well, let's start in a logical place. We'll start with Rhododendron. She is the only favourite so far to have disappointed in a classic. Shit, that's my phone going, actually. I'll just turn that off. Jesus, it's professional, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
It's highly professional. So Rhododendron is, like I said, the only favourite to disappoint in the British or Irish Classic so far. Should punters trust her tomorrow, Nick?
Yeah, I think they should. I don't think she was a disappointment at all in the Guineas. She was beaten by a very good horse, Winter. We saw that again last weekend. Winter looked very good indeed. So to lose out to her was no disgrace. The fact that she was compromised during the race by a little bit of interference, having to switch, losing a bit of ground, cost her a little bit. And I'm not sure it cost her the victory because I thought Winter won quite nicely. But if ever you were looking for a horse, you know, to run a good trial for another race, you could point to Rhododendron's run there and say, you know, that had Oaks written all over it. And the form has obviously worked out, and there's no form like classic form, and she's got it. So, yeah, she's justifiable favourite. I'm not really into backing horses at 10 to 11. You know, I'd prefer to look, you know, if I was having a bet, look further down the line and try and eke something out each way at a bigger price. But I think she is the obvious one that they will have to beat.
We'll come to who else you might be supporting in just a minute. But first of all, Stu, what's your feelings on Rhododendron? Would you be a backer at 10 to 11?
I wouldn't be a backer at 10 to 11, but I don't get paid enough to back horses at 10 to 11. So I think I agree with Nick. She is definitely... you can completely see the case for her. She looks very solid. She seems a similar type to Minding, who obviously ran away with this last year. She's taken a very similar path to the race. Obviously didn't win the Guineas, but like Nick alluded to, there was a fair amount of interference there. She would have been closer, definitely. We can say that. Can't say she would have won, but she'd have definitely been a lot closer. I think she's a very good horse. I think the race will be run to suit her perfectly. Ain's got 2 in there. I think they will put all their eggs in the Rhododendron basket and really try and set the race up for her. Strong gallop. I expect Alluringly probably to kick on, rounding the turn, stretch them out, because Ryan had a little bit of trouble in running last year and Minding, trying to get a gap. Got lucky, switched inside, and it opened up for him. I think they'll try and stretch the field out a bit more, make his job a bit easier. And I think she is the one to beat.
Okay, Frank, your thoughts on Rhododendron? Obviously, there's been plenty of support this week for her. She's coming odds on everywhere. Are you part of the fan club?
I think she's most definitely the one to beat. But when you're assessing this race, you look to last year's Oaks. Minding was coming into this race at roughly a similar enough price. She was unbeaten. She'd won the Guineas impressively. And I think Rhododendron, she's not unbeatable. She's beaten on debut, which you could forgive, but she was beaten in the Moyglare. She's beaten the Guineas, albeit with excuses. And at that sort of price, it wouldn't be for me, although she is the one to beat. And even at that, there is she's bred to stay. She should, but she's out of Halfway to Heaven, who won a Nassau Stakes over 10 furlongs. So it's she should stay, but she's not absolutely guaranteed either. And at that price, you'd want to be guaranteed nearly her staying, to be getting involved at that sort of price. Now, if you're on anti-posted bigger prices, fair play, but at 10 to 11, it wouldn't be for me.
Okay, so that's a universal not for us at 10 to 11. So let's talk about some of the others, and most importantly, which ones do appeal at the prices, Nick?
I think Enabled's quite interesting for a few reasons. That John Gosden's running that one and not running Shutter Speed. He's divided the two. He could have run both together, or he could have gone with Shutter Speed, gone with a different combination. I was very impressed with Enable at Chester. Hit the line really strongly. I was really taken with that display. And she's 6-1. Whereas, as we alluded to, Rhododendron is going to be a shade of odds on or something around that price. Very lightly raced Enable, not as much experience as Rhododendron, you might say, but, seemed to handle Chester well enough, and that's always a good test of a young horse. So impressive that, she was able to handle that. And like I said, she did hit the line very strongly, so I think she'll stay very well. And I think she'll be able to put it up to the favourite. And, if you're looking at them, her and Sabetsu, I think out of the two of them, I might prefer the Gosden horse. I just wonder if Sabetsu got away with it a bit in France and, had a bit of an easy time on the front end and made the most of it. So, she'll find that more difficult to bring off at Epsom, I think.
How about you, Stuart? Are you looking at Enable as well?
I would be the opposite way round to Nick. I quite like Sabetsu. I was impressed with the run at Deauville. Thought she ran very well. She beat Coronet comfortably that day. Now, you can make the case that Coronet was a bit green, will be a lot closer, but they're 8-1 and 9-1, and there was over 4 lengths between them that day. I know which of the two I'd like to side with. I'd rather be with Sabetsu. The other one that I'd just like to give a good mention to is Andrew Balding's horseplay. I thought it was very impressive in the Pretty Polly, and you can make the case that she'll improve markedly for that as well. She's green, she's unexposed, she's progressive. They're the two that I'd be siding with against Rhododendron.
And Frank, for yourself, who's making appeal further down the market?
There's one that, I don't know, maybe I'm a way off, but I think just sticks out like a sore thumb, and that's Coronet. I know she was beaten in France, but a lot went wrong. She was out the back. I think Sabetsu, while very visually impressive, the race was run to suit, and the ground was very soft that day too, which would suit. If the ground was soft tomorrow, even though there's no rain forecast, I would be very interested in Sabetsu. But I think as the ground dries out, Coronet's chance increases. You have to remember, she won the Zetland Stakes at Newmarket as a 2-year-old over 10 furlongs. She's crying out for a 1.5 miles. That day at Newmarket, to put the form in context, she had Conco in second, who won a classic trial at Sandown. Permian was third, who's the 4th fav for the Derby. Wings of Eagles was in behind her, was second at Chester Vaz. Defoe, even, who was second last, came out and won that London Handicap at Newbury, which is traditionally a very strong handicap. And she's the one horse who's absolutely crying out for the trip. I think she's as big as 10-1. It's a cracking each way bet, and I will be playing it each way in the without market too. She's nailed on to be in the first 4. I think she's probably going to be second if Rhododendron is what they think she is. But I think if there's any hole in Rhododendron, this one will be finishing 100%.
Thanks very much, Frank. So there we go. We got our main tips. Nick, Enable.
At the prices, yeah. Rhododendron, not for me, just because of the price. I think she's the most likely winner, but 6-1 Enable, that will do for me.
Stu, Sabetsu.
Yeah, and horseplay.
And horseplay. You can only have one.
Horseplay's a bigger price.
There's only 10 in the field. You can't have 2. What's going on?
2 each way, definitely.
And Frank, Coronet for you.
Coronet each way, all the way for me. Yeah.
Fantastic. Thanks so much, guys. We're going to take a quick advert. Back in a second.
Check out Paddy's horse racing offer for Epsom. On 2 races on both days of the festival, it's money back as a free bet if your horse finishes 2nd, 3rd or 4th to the SP favourite. Max £25 per race. Pre-race singles only. Conditions and exclusions apply. 18+. BeGambleAware.org.
Welcome back. We are continuing with our run-through of Friday's card at Epsom Oaks Day, and now we're moving on to the Coronation Cup, which features a high-class field, including Highland Reel, Journey, Idaho. Aidan O'Brien's got an unbelievable record in this race, 7 times winner since 2005. Can he do it against you?
You'd have to say it's likely. Highland Reel is a horse I love. He was out in Hong Kong when I was out there, and I fell in love with him working every morning.
Humble brag there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. He was out in Hong Kong. He was recently.
Just a gorgeous horse, and he tries his heart out. My one concern with him is he went to Meydan, and this time last year didn't run in this race. They kept him for Ascot, and he was second at Ascot. He was turned over. O'Brien was also turned over in this race last year with Found, and I think that I want to take him on simply because I can see him getting beat. But yes, he is the class horse in the race.
He really is a great servant, been all around the world, so tough. But is he a Coronation Cup winner?
He could be. I mean, I think it's great just to say that we've got a proper race in the Coronation Cup, which is fantastic. We're used to like small fields and this, and something going heavily odds on, and not much interest from a betting perspective. This is the complete opposite. You can make a case for quite a few in here. And there's loads of different, good little stories in it. There's Hyde and Reel and his brother Idaho running in the same race. US Army Rangers second in the Derby last season, but he's had a few chances. He didn't get the job done at Chester last time. People starting to question his attitude and whether he's actually any good or not. So it's really D-Day for him. You could even give a chance to something like Frontiersman, who I think is a really interesting entry in this. You wouldn't be surprised if he was up to it. His dad was Ouija board, who's already, obviously she won the Oaks. She's produced a Derby winner already as well. So you'd expect Frontiersman to at least handle the track. And, I think he's well worth a shot at Group Company anyway. Don't know what price he is, Frank, but I thought he won very, very impressively last time out, and I think he's worth a shot in this grade.
Yeah, run us through the prices, actually, Frank, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
That would be good.
Highland Reel is 11-8, Journey 4-1, Idaho 11-2, Frontiersman 9-1, Hawkbill 10-1, US Army Ranger 12-1, and we're 14-1 bar.
Great. And what's your read on the race, Frank?
I think it's a cracking race for a change. I thought last week we'd be looking at the usual 5 or 6 max with like Highland Reel being odds on, but it's they've really the entries have held up. I think Highland Reel it's a little bit, I would think, worrying if you fancy him in that why is Aidan throwing 3 darts at this? It's not normally what he would do in a race like this. He normally just has, like when he'd say Nicholas Abbey, he might have said Nicholas Abbey with a pacemaker and that'd be it. But I think he's short enough too. When he's good, he's very good, but when he's bad, he's brutal. So at 11-8, he wouldn't be for me. Journey has been beaten on her first start the last 3 years, and of course this is her season reappearance. So again, 4-1 would be tight enough. Idaho was behind US Army Ranger in the Derby. He's 11-2. US Army Ranger's 12-1. So maybe those prices aren't the right way around. Hawkbill was one that I just thought was semi-interesting. I got it completely wrong at Newbury. I priced the race. I didn't think he was crying out for 1.5 miles, but I think 2 lengths doesn't do him justice that day. He demolished them.
Yeah.
No, he is ground dependent. He likes cut, so hopefully it won't dry out too much. But once it's not firm in the description, he should be fine. I think at 10-1. I think it's a very big price. I'd be willing to give him a chance at 10-1 each way.
Yeah, and I tell you what, the forecast for Epsom is looking a little bit dodgy. There's some talk that there could be a sort of a storm front heading through, which would dump a considerable amount of rain on the track, and that could really play into Hawkbill's chances, actually. So let's do tips for this race. Who are you going for, Nick?
I'm going to give a chance to Frontiersman.
Okay, and Stu?
I'd probably agree with everything that Frank's just said. I like Journey as a horse. Her run at the back end of last season when she won at Ascot, she beat Speedy Boarding, Queen's Trust, Pretty Perfect, Seventh Heaven, Architecture, Zakova. It's a hell of a piece of form, but the first time out element worries me, so I'd go with Hawkbill. Big price.
Excellent. And Frank, sticking with Hawkbill?
Oh, Hawkbill. And if that rain comes, I'd double my bet, to be honest.
There we go. I agree with Frank. Another ad break now, and we'll be back in a second.
Check out Paddy's horse racing offer for Epsom. On 2 races on both days of the festival, it's money back as a free bet if your horse finishes 2nd, 3rd or 4th to the SP favourite. Max £25 per race. Pre-race singles only. Conditions and exclusions apply. 18+. BeGambleAware.org.
Okay, welcome back. I'm Tom Kerr. I'm in the studio here with Nick Watts and Stuart Riley. Frank Hickey's on the line, and we are rattling through the Epsom Friday card, Oaks Day. We're now going to look at the rest of the ITV action, starting with the 2 o'clock, the Woodcote. Stuart, we'll start with you. What do you reckon here?
I think the Hannon horse is the obvious one to beat at the top of the market. But
De Bruyne horse.
Yeah,
you didn't want to try and pronounce that one, did you?
Well, I don't fancy it, so I'm not having it. I'd go with the Mark Johnson card shop. I think D'Souza, very, very good booking, brilliant jockey in sprints, obviously rides a lot for Mark Johnson, was impressive first time up. had to give a penalty away at Ascot in a pretty hot race. That was so. Yeah, I'd side with him. I think that's. I think at the prices he's probably done a bit more. Although De Bruyne horse obviously was pretty impressive in pulverising his opposition.
I think Card Shop had quite a bit of money. Is that right, Frank?
Yeah, he's. I'll give you the price there. De Bruyne horse is 6-4. Card Sharp was 5-1. It's into 3-1. Zap is 7-2. Ventura Dragon 9-1. As is Campion. Holden horse is 14-1, and Diamond Pursuit is our outsider at 40-1.
Okay, you've heard the prices, Nick. What do you reckon?
I think Zap's quite interesting for me. I was impressed with the one loss first time, first start. I thought there was a lot of improvement to come from him. Far, he's running 2. Hannigan's gone for Zap. I'm not surprised at all. He was on board the first time as well. I think there's quite a bit of potential in this horse. But Hannon and Fahey both running 2 here, which is quite interesting. But I'd say De Bruyne horse is very much the pick of the Hannon pair. And I think the same with Zap and Fahey. It could be an interesting race between the 2. I would just go for the potential of Zap, I think.
Okay, Frank, have you got a view on this one?
Yeah, Zap is interesting. There was late money for him on debut at York. I think he went like from 7-1 into 5-1, and he won well, like he wasn't given a hard time. I think what's interesting is Hallam's won his 3 out of the last 4 years, and Mark Johnson's won it twice in the past 7. So they obviously target the race. Card Sharp was well backed on debut, I think, at Brighton. But I'm going kind of a little bit off track, but they had another horse called Kit Marlowe that I think I'd heard rumours was as good, if not better, than Card Sharp, and went to Newmarket and was turned over by a horse called Way of Wisdom. Now, that horse went to Ripon, was it Ripon or Redcar? Ripon, I think, the next time, and gave £7 to De Bruyne horse, and De Bruyne horse absolutely destroyed it. I think what you got to take with the Hannon horses now is it's not like 3 or 4 years ago where they were all ready to go first time out and they were banging in winners first time out. They're definitely taking the more patient approach and they're needing the run first time. They were very keen on this after it won a Ripon, mentioned the Coventry and everything, and just with the record they have in the race and the way the Hannon horses are improving for their run and even their second run, I think this might be very difficult to beat. 6-4 could look big tomorrow.
Thanks, Frank. We'll now move on to the 235, the snappily named Investec Click and Invest Mile Handicap. Nick, you got a big view on this one?
It's a very tricky race, this. I think that there's not many that come into it with, kind of outstanding claims. And there's a lot of horses who have shown, if you go through their back catalogue, they've got bits and pieces of form which will put them in with a squeak here if they return to their best. One of those, I think, is the Brian Meehan horse, Mutarakes, who looked very promising at one stage last season. You look at the form figures more recently, he hasn't really been, doing it, but a much better run last time out. And, I think he's quite interesting. I'm not sure about the draw. He's drawn 10 of 12, but hopefully you can, he's not going to be too far out, in terms of it compromising his chances. GK Chesterton is the one who comes here in form one last time out for Charlie Appleby, William Buick. They're probably the ones to beat, but I'm not sure what the prices are, but I imagine Mutarakes is a fairly decent one, and I'd give him a squeak.
Well, apologies again. I'm feeling in my fundamental duty as host, which is to get the prices before you say I'm not sure what the prices are. So Frank, if you want to talk us through the 235 as well.
GK Chesterton is 11-4, Remarkable 4-1, 60s Groove 5-1, Mutarakes 7-1, Spring Offensive 10-1, Stipulate and Cricklewood Green are 12-1, and we're 14-1 bar.
Thanks so much, Frank. And Stu, we've come to you now. You've heard the prices. You've got the advantage over Nick, so this better be a winner.
Remarkable is a horse I like. He was second. He was behind Ribchester in the Jersey last year, and I was kind of expecting him to kick on from that, and he just kind of didn't. He's been gelded since. Quite a decent run in the Victoria Cup on his comeback, but he's short. The one that catches my eye, Richard Fahey's got 2 in here. You've got Spring Offensive, who's 10-1, and ridden by Andrea at Zany. An unusual booking for Fahey. Paul Hannigan, stable jockey, is on a 20-1 shot, and I cannot work out why the horse that Hannigan is on is double the price of the one he's chosen not to ride. So I will be backing Homecomings each way at 20-1, purely because it's got Paul Hannigan on board.
Interesting angle. And Frank, have you got a view on this one?
Yeah, well, I think Remarkable was probably the most likely winner. He did remarkably well to finish as close as he did. The Victoria Cup, he was drawn all wrong. But I agree with Nick here. Mutarakes was rated 101 just over a year ago. He's down to 88. He showed a bit more at Newbury. He looked all over the winner inside the final furlong, but kind of dogged it a small bit. But this track might just focus him a small bit better. And off 88, it's like 13 pounds lower than his peak. And like he showed a bit more last time. I think he's an each way bet. I think it's as big at 9 to 1 out there. I'll definitely be having a few quid in him.
Great, thanks, Frank. And we'll stay with you for the last of the ITV races, the 3:45, the 1 mile 2 handicap. What's leading the market and what we got there?
Yeah, we've joint favourites. Vidawi, it's 5 to 1 along with Baracco. Grapevine is 8 to 1. What About Carlo? Final, Innocent Touch, Aberique and Storm King are 10 to 1. Speed Company and Examiner 12 to 1. And we're 14 to 1 bar.
Thanks so much. Stuart, we'll start with you. Got a big fancy in this one?
No, not really.
Okay, bad person to start with then, in other words.
I'd give What About Carlo a shout. They always target this meeting. I think he's named after a gentleman that used to work on one of the gates at Epsom. So I think they always...
Is that right?
I think so.
Yeah.
So I think they always target this meeting. He's got a great course and distance record. He was third off this mark last year. The other horse, I mean, Fidawi, you can make the obvious Sir Michael Stout improving case for that one. The only other horse that I'm kind of interested in further down the bottom is Top Beak. Huey Morrison obviously has been going fairly well. James Doyle booked, and yeah, I quite like his chances.
Great, Nick.
I think Grapevine's interesting here. Course and distance winner. Having put the weekender together this week, and we featured Charlie Hills, of course, I can pass on that he's very, very happy with the horse, very confident in his chances. I think he's got a nice draw here. He's drawn in stall 4. There were excuses for his run last time. You see that 8 next to his name. I think that came at Newmarket, where the race didn't really pan out just right for him. This one might well do. I think Grapevine's very interesting. I think What About Carlo? You mentioned in the weather earlier, if a bit of rain came down, he's a bit of a standing dish at this track, and he always seems to run well here. Yeah, I think if there's a bit of dig in the ground, he could go very close. But for me, buoyed by reading the Hills column this week, he's very enthusiastic about the chances of Grapevine.
And absolutely do pick up the weekend as well for the rest of...
Absolutely, best weekly racing paper out there, along with the RFO.
Well, joint co-favourites. Frank, any view on this race, or indeed for any other tips on Friday?
Yeah, I had 2 in this race that caught my eye. One was Not So Sleepy, Huey Morrison's other runner, Adam Kirby rides. He's only running 2 handicaps ever. York last time out, where he wasn't disgraced in 8th, behind Master Carpenter, who was a facile winner. But in his other handicap run at Newbury last October, he was only 2 1/4 lengths behind What About Carlo, who the lads mentioned there, who was excellent course form. But there's actually £7 swing for that here. I just thought he's massive. He's 16 to 1 on his best form. Like, he'd been running in group races and listed races nearly all his life. He's worth a small each way play. And there's one that I just couldn't let go, Aberique of Mark Johnson. He ran here 3 runs back, and he got absolutely mullered at the 2 furlong pole. They went for a gap that wasn't there, got absolutely taken out of it, and just coasted home. But he showed massive improvement on the all-weather over the winter, and is now rated £12 higher than he is on the turf. I still think there's a chance he can show that improvement on turf. And again, he's about range between 10 and 14 to 1. It's a fair price. I think he could go well enough too at a big price.
Good mind yourself.
Yeah.
Anything else for Friday, Frank?
The 5:15 was a tough race, the Surrey Stakes, but I thought Sutter County probably just had the most solid form. But I am keen on one in the 5:50. A horse of William Jarvis is called Juanito Chico. He was a massive eye catcher at Ascot the last day when he just got touched off, beaten 2 necks, or I think even 2 short heads. In third, his course form, he was second here in a handicap last year. Sylvester de Souda's only ridden him 3 times. He won once and was second and third. Those other 2 times, he's I think he's a cracking each way, but he could be as big as 6 to 1 later on.
Juanito Chico in the 5:50. Thanks, Frank. Stuart, I know you were looking at the 5:15 before, remarking me some of the jockey bookings there.
Yeah, it's quite confusing. You've got Sutter County at the top, Mark Johnson. Andrea at Zaney is riding for him. Zany normally rides for Roger Varian, who has Solomon's Bay in the same race, ridden by Sylvester de Souza, who normally rides for Mark Johnson. Then you've got True Valor in there, Johnny Murta. It's a Qatar racing horse. You'd expect Oisin Murphy to be on it. He is at Epsom, but it's being ridden by Brian Moore. It seems to be a bit of musical chairs going on, and of the lot of them, I think the de Souza at Zany Switch is probably down to de Souza having some sort of agreement with the owner of Solomon's Bay, but the True Valor Ryan Moore connection is very eye-catching, and so I would side with True Valor.
Great, thanks. And Nick, anything else in the card grabbed your eye?
That's a tricky race, that 5:15. I tentatively agreed with Frank about Sutter County. Seven Heavens is a horse I've always liked, but I'm just about ready to give up on him because I think he's a bit of a nutcase and he's just too free and he never settles and, he's becoming a little bit disappointing. So it would be Sutter County for me in the 5:15.
Great, thanks so much. Now, just before we leave, Jack, the producer, is going to do a jingle, and then you're going to give us a Friday nap. So take it away, Jack.
This will not be beaten.
Stuart.
Hawkbill.
Nick.
Zap.
Frank.
De Bruyne Horse.
Fantastic. This has been the Racing Post podcast. We've just done Friday's Oaks card. Tomorrow we will be back to do Saturday's Derby card. Lots more winners. Please do join us again. Thanks so much for listening today. We will speak to you again soon. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Paddy Power stream all UK and Irish racing live on your mobile, tablet or PC. Unlike some other high street bookies, Paddy Power, you beauty!